Hi, everybody. We're in week 6, and you're working away on learning about resumes. You are in the Career Success Guide. So, from our week 6 learning module, if I go into our weekly modules, and I should see weeks 5 to 7, and it's the targeted resume lesson. You're reading down through the lesson. You're probably a little bit of the way down now. You've watched the perfect resume video, hopefully, and you read about the layout for a resume, let's say for getting a job in Canada or North America, and how you would have a top section to your resume that would be your name and address. And certain things are allowed to be there and certain items should not be there, like your picture should not be there. And then you'd have a summary of qualifications section, and then a section for work experience and a section for education, similar to what LinkedIn looks like actually. And then you might have a section for honors or certificates or awards, right? You might have a section for activities and interests, but these are not really needed unless you are trying to maybe fill up your resume with some things. And there's lots of examples. So as you read down through the learning, you can look up action verbs you can use on your resume, what transferable skills are. Many jobs require communication skills. Those are transferable from one job to another. Customer service skills are needed in lots of different jobs. There's action verbs that you should use. So when you build your resume, you should use an action verb on the bullet points. So another thing that's talked about here is when we give an example of what we did in our past jobs or what we did at school, you want to tell a story, a short story. This really comes in handy in an interview, but it can also be a technique used on a resume. So please make sure you're reading the learning, the lesson. Read about the things that you do not put on a resume when applying in Canada. And this is important not to have any of these on your resume, otherwise you'll lose marks on your assignment. And then there's a video here called Resume Mistakes. Make sure that you're watching that. Now, I've already covered some of this in my previous video from last week and the week before. So please go back and watch those if you haven't been watching the news every week of what I've been posting. And pretty much we're doing a chronological resume. Most of you will be doing that. And that's just a backward detailing of everything you've done. It starts with this year and goes back to 19, 18, 17, and so on. And you can find examples of that in a lot of the information that I'm providing you. And then you get down to the assigned tasks, and the resume assignment is going to be due. So for the resume assignment, which is posted under the assignments folder, so just to show you where that is, if you're looking in the table of contents on our course and you go down to the assignments folder, there is a resume assignment. And the resume assignment is going to ask you to go out online and find a job advertisement for a job you think you would do now or after you graduate. Like for example, if I'm on monster.ca, I find a job advertisement here for assistant store manager for Spencer's Gifts. And I read what is needed in this job, right? Highlights, details, what's the job's all about. And I wonder if I can do it as a student. Now, there's an interesting option here on Monster, and it says, check your resume. How do I match with this job? You can actually upload your resume, and the system will tell you how well your resume matches with the job requirements for specific jobs. So if you want to be an assistant store manager, or if you want to do something else, merchandise team leader, you can put up your resume on these things and see if it matches with this job. Now that would be good for you to do because when I'm marking your resume, I'm marking it to see if it's targeted towards a specific job, the job that you're going to post with your resume. If this were the job you wanted to apply for, pretending to apply for the purposes of our assignment, then you would print this off, like just highlight it, copy paste it into a Word doc, save it as a PDF, and submit it with your resume and say, this is the job ad I applied for. You can even submit the URL, but I need all the details also. So you're going to get all these responsibilities listed, and I'm going to be looking at your resume to see that they map to the responsibilities needed? Qualifications. Do you have 2 years of retail experience? Do you have an ability to develop and train others? Do you have an ability to lead a team? Well, it's one thing to say you do, and on your resume you have to prove it. So you want to get an interview with this company, then you have to write a resume that shows that you can do these things. Computer technology, most of you should have your Microsoft Office courses listed, and also that if you did get Microsoft certified, that should be on your resume as well. So you read down through the job and what the job is asking for, and you find a job that you're able to do based on the skills you have and the experiences you have, and you start to write a resume that will map to that job. So you're going to take all of this, you're going to put it in a PDF, and you're going to submit it with your resume. I need a job advertisement before I can mark your resume. Your resume has to be targeted towards a specific job. And in the future, should you apply for a different job, let's say you want to look up something else in here, I don't know, let me see if I can do some other search. Oh, 5K, maybe I want to go 50K out. I'm going to go for jobs further away from my home maybe, or I want to put in a new search in here. I guess I would go up here. Maybe you want to work as a trainer, right? There's all kinds of options that come up. Maybe I just want to be a trainer, and I'm going to do search. And again, I can search for jobs, and I can then see if I have the skills to do that job. I read down through the job as a student, and if I have those skills, then I'm going to copy this job ad and I'm going to apply for it. So back in our career success guide, there are notes here on how to find a good job advertisement. Also in Module 3, there are notes here on how to do a targeted resume. So here's a targeted resume sample, and you'll see that this is the way your resume should look. You do not need this career objective because you're applying directly to a job, but you could call this summary of skills or qualifications or profile, and you could list some bullet points. And some of these bullet points should be listed as well on the job advertisement. So here's the job posting that goes along with this resume, and you can see that some of the requirements the job is asking for is what the student has put on her resume to make sure that it's targeted or matched to what the job is asking for. She's written a bit about her education and then goes on about the places that she's worked before using bulleted points, right? And so she's talking about what she has done in the past, and she said prepared, identified, scheduled, interacted. So you want to use those action verbs, and you want to use past tense with ed usually on the end to talk about resolved issues, like what you have done. This is a good example to look at. You can sort of follow that along. You do not need references available upon request. That's not something that we need anymore, but if you did have references available upon request, it doesn't hurt anything. Notice that this student also got the leadership passport from Centennial College, so they put that on here. If you did a Giselle or you went on a trip with Centennial, you did anything special in your studies, you should put it in. Volunteer work, you should put it on your resume. Jobs you've had either in Canada or not in Canada, you still put it on. But notice it says related experience, and related experience is experience that's related to this job. If this job is asking for typing and data entry and formatting and photocopying, I don't necessarily need to say that I'm a soccer coach. That has nothing to do with any of this. So I don't need to include up here that I'm a soccer coach. Now I could in, community activities if I have space on my resume to do that. And some of you will have space because you won't have a long work history behind you. Other people, like the maximum for a resume should be about 2 pages. So, and somebody who's fresh out of college or university, usually their resumes are 1 page. And for somebody who's been working for 20 years, they usually do, a curriculum vitae, which could be more pages than 2 pages, like a doctor or even a professor. But usually the average is 2 pages. Okay, so if you have any questions about the resume assignment, please let me know, and it is due on October 30 as according to our calendar. Thank you, everyone.